Good evening, everybody, and happy Friday to you. Welcome to our live broadcast here. Hope you guys had a great week as we are now entering into the weekend. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be starting here shortly, just giving people time to come on in, and then we're going to jump right into it tonight, y'all. I'm coming in hot, so I hope you're ready. I really do hope you're ready. Just let me know in the chat if the audio's okay. Because once I get started, that's going to be it. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you so much. If you're not a subscriber, I hope by the end of this broadcast you do become a subscriber. But the choice is yours. Nobody's going to sit here and twist your arm and make you do something you don't want to do, whatever. And, do take the time to, go through the content. And if it's stuff here that you see that you like or whatever, good. Hope you stick around. Now, for tonight's broadcast, it's going to be a lot. Okay, so the videos that I've been doing for a minute, it's typically one topic and that's it. You know what I mean? And that's a huge change from how we used to do it, right? Because every video was like what I'm doing right now. I just pack it in with all kinds of different news stories. And so if you're brand new to this platform and you just came in recently, you're used to that, just one video, one topic, that's it. I totally get it, right? But tonight we're going to be covering several different topics. And then at the conclusion of this broadcast, once everything's been uploaded and everything, then I'll go back and then I'll chapter out everything so that, it'll make it a little bit easier if you want to just stick around for a few minutes and say, hey, listen, I'm going to go back later and I can, listen to it at that time. That's totally cool. We're going to try to make it easier for you so that, if you want to come back and do that, you'll be able to get to the parts that you want to hear. But tonight we are going to be covering several different topics tonight. And, so let's go. All right. So tonight we're going to, like we said, it was a very interesting week. I mean, we definitely had the hurricane. That was no joke. Right. And, a lot of people who have been adversely affected by that. So we talked about that. We also talked about I think it was prior to the hurricane, we uploaded a video where it was a follow-up to the lady down in Jamaica who has she has a place down there, a large piece of property, and she's doing fine, actually. I mean, she has sold a lot of it. I mean, she still owns that property and she's leased it all out to different people or whatever. So even though I think she still does the Airbnb thing, it's, she's kind of doing some other things right now. So she's totally doing fine. I saw some comments where people were saying that we need to boycott her. Yeah, you're a little bit too late on that one, but she's doing fine. But the comments, the responses that we got from it, it really revealed a great deal. It revealed a great deal on a number of things, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into that, kind of circle back to that story. Like I said, of course, we're going to circle back on the, I want to start off tonight, talking about this whole thing about, the claim that the religious, the invisible religious folks out here who wanted to smoke up this channel, for the video that I posted a couple of days ago, as far as them, going around here saying that, God is the one that sent the hurricane to destroy certain towns, but leaving out the fact that it wasn't just certain towns that were being wiped out, but there was also many other people who had nothing to do with those towns or the history who were also being adversely affected, and and really addressing that. But again, it came down to a group of certain individuals, and like I said, mainly religious folks, who did not want to hear that at all. Instead, they wanted to hear exactly what they wanted to hear, and then they took off with that. So we're going to talk about that too. All right. And then we're also going to look at, this latest drive from the Harris campaign and Democrats. I'm going to tell you right now, their internals must be horrible. Their internal polling data is got to be horrible. For them to be going this hard against black men, there's got to be, it's not looking good. It definitely is not looking good for them. It's not looking good. And we already knew that this was not going to go the way that they thought it was going to go. And we know ultimately this is it's all a stage show, as far as I'm concerned. But they, the fact that they went so hard with the whole, pro woman, we're woman, and it's about time we get a woman in office, and a woman. And, you keep doing that, you're going to lose a lot of people. It's not because people hate women. It's simply because there's more than just women in this country. You understand what I'm saying? Just like when a male, when a man is running for office, he's not, you never see a man up there saying, okay, we're standing for men values, and that's it. You don't see that. They gotta take the pictures with women. They gotta take the pictures with the older women. They gotta do all of that. And their campaign has to address issues that are important to women. They gotta do all that. But when your whole campaign and the imagery that you're putting out with your campaign is basically, we gotta get a woman in office because she's a woman, and that's your main talking point. It's not gonna have as much mileage as you may think it's going to have. And we're gonna play the clip, of course, of Obama coming out here, chastising once again black men, and accusing black men of not wanting to vote for her simply because we're so stuck and we don't want to see women in charge of anything. That's how stupid and dumb he really thinks we are. Well, if you are left with having dreams of your father, like the title of his book, it makes a lot of sense as to why he always attacks black men. You understand what I'm saying? So there's a lot of history even with him as it pertains to manhood, fatherhood, that he has to deal with, but he hasn't. And so, so he comes out, and all of this frustration and anger that he always lashes out against black men is only a reflection of what he's dealing with. And we're going to talk about that, in a little bit. We're also going to look at the WNBA. And as I said in a video, I did a couple of videos on this, on the WNBA, my thoughts on it. It's not something that I typically, I make videos on or whatever, but the videos I did make on it, I was saying the reason why I've been really intrigued by this whole WNBA thing is I'm looking at it strictly from a marketing and business standpoint. That's what really intrigues me about it. The gameplay and all that, I could really care less. I just don't. But, I really like seeing emerging businesses and how they handle sudden popularity and all that kind of stuff. I always like doing that. That's just across the board. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the WNBA is horrible. It's horrible. They were not prepared with this at all. There's a lot of old stank attitudes that they just are still trying to hold on to. And it's just nonsensical of what they're doing and what they're trying to do. I do think at the end of the day, there's just going to probably be, something is major is going to have to give, for some major change to take place, because they can't keep going on like this. And so we'll talk about that. Then we're also going to touch on the chemical fire that took place down in Georgia. And this was in, what was it? It was right outside of Atlanta, literally right outside of Atlanta, south of Atlanta, matter of fact. It was, what was it? Chlorine. It was a chlorine fire. Major company that makes chlorine. And if you think that, that was just a little fire. Well, the mainstream media is not talking about it, so it ain't really that important. Well, we got some we're going to dive into and tell you, no, we should be paying very close attention to this. And in that area, you have a significant black population down there, and what they should be doing. Again, these are things that you're not going to hear on most platforms because, again, everybody's focus is on some of these other things here, but we are about strategy. We're about, action, what needs to be done. And we certainly don't like waiting till the last minute for things to develop. But this is something that's happening now. And this is something that for certain we have to, be proactive when it comes to stuff like this, because this is very serious, and so we'll talk about that as well. Lastly, and we'll do this later on, make sure my volume's right, is that, we're going to open the phone line. I only have one line, of course, because we had a lot of faceless people coming to this channel this week and had a whole lot to say. And so, like we always do, I've done this numerous times on this platform already. We're going to give you an opportunity to call in and to make your case. Now, let's be clear here. If anybody has ever watched any of those videos where we have opened the phone lines and have asked these people to come in and to, put a real voice to your comments, 99.9% of the time, people never show up. They don't. Because it's a lot easier to hide, than to actually have a real human to human conversation. So it's a lot more comfortable for them to do that. So as you can see, I'm not hiding at all. Another thing that you'll know too in those videos is that I always let people talk. I don't talk over people. I don't shout people down at all. We keep it very respectful, and that's it. So later on in this broadcast, you're going to have the opportunity to call in if you're one of those faceless people that had some issues with something I said this week or whatever. And you can call in and you can say your say. But the only requirement I do ask of you is that you stay on the line for the response. We're not going to do the hiding thing. I don't do that. And so we're going to talk. We're going to have an adult conversation on these things, because your chest was big in the comment section. Let's go ahead and do that here. And like I said, again, we just keep it very respectful, and you can talk, and and then I'll respond, and then we just keep it like that. So that's it. But again, thank you so much for everyone that's here in the in our chat, or you just sitting back watching and waiting, got your popcorn and all that. Really appreciate you being here. If you haven't seen already our video that I posted yesterday on, just a further explanation on Project 2025, make sure you watch that, because there were some very key points in there that, again, that you're not going to hear too many people talk about as to what Project 2025 is and what it's actually attempting to replace. And if you're very, I try to be as just straight down the middle as possible, because I wasn't promoting Project 2025 at all. Instead, what I did was we talked about in detail what Project 2025 is, right? And we gave you, there was a whole layout, and explained it. Then we also we talked about the existing bureaucracy that is already in place, because Project 2025 is a conservative bureaucracy. And it's what it's trying to do is to replace the one that's already in place. And so we talked about that and who makes that up and all of that. And so if you haven't watched that, make it a point to watch that, because like I said, there's details in there that, you know, that people really need to know. And like I said, for those who are so anti Project 2025, they only want you to focus on, they try to highlight and pigeonhole little points to make it scary and make it think that, oh my God, they're going to turn this thing, Project 2025 is going to legalize the Klan and all this. It's the same stuff. And it's like, no, there's nothing at all in there at all that comes close to that. You know, we need to be looking at the bureaucracy that's already in place now, because we have a lot of issues with that, you know. And so anyway, I went through all the details on that. Okay, so check that out when you get a chance. And again, thank you for everybody that's joining us this evening. So let's go ahead and get started and jump right in. Let me get my notepad thingamajig here. What was it? Is this it? Hold on. It's right here. All right, here we go. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into this thing here as soon as I can get my notes here. Okay, here we go. All right, so I think I'll start with the hurricane stuff. All right. You know, a lot of the clapback that I got from that. There was a lot of religious people. Like I said, again, a lot of these people, they like to hide behind these nondescript, YouTube channel profiles and stuff like that. And, and they'll go very hard. They go very hard with the scriptures and all of that. And what was really interesting to me was, like I said, again, it points to a much bigger issue, is the inability of numbers of people who look like us. I'm talking about black folks, people who look like you, who have clearly they have a handicap or a disability in hearing and comprehending. It's very obvious, because there were numbers of people who listened to that video I did, and they thought that and they walked away assuming or concluding that I was saying, oh Lord, protect the racist white people who did something wrong to black folks. I didn't say anything of a sort. I didn't mention not one time did I even say that. But the amount of fooleries, tomfools and Tina fools that walked away with that nonsense, it showed me that I said, okay, there's a number of these people. I said, they just don't even have the ability to comprehend. You can't even have a conversation with these people. And it's not all, but like I said, there's numbers, quite a few, significant number of people. And that's not what I was saying at all. What I was saying in that whole video was that you have numbers of people, not just in this recent storm that we're talking about, Hurricane Milton, but there were other hurricanes that preceded that. And we can go all the way back to Katrina, where these major storms or earthquakes or whatever you want, any natural disaster that comes along, we always hear conveniently from the religious crowd that will say, well, that's God speaking. God's not playing. God is bringing judgment. You better wake up. He is bringing judgment to the land. You better wake up. This is what God says. And then they got every scripture lined up for that. But did you notice that when these disasters hit, it's usually the most vulnerable people who really didn't do anything. They just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. And they're the ones that are getting hit. Those are the ones that are catching all these strays. But the people who are the powers that shouldn't be, that are hemmed up in their mansions, are hemmed up in their nice suburban towns or whatever, that don't get hit. Well, I guess God ain't really paying attention to that. He's just going after those mean, poor people. Yeah, that's what it is. He's going after the mean, poor people to get to the few handful of racist people in some podunk towns. That's what he's after. That's the strategy. And then I hear people say, well, the thing is that he's going to save these other places for last. I tell you, the amount of scriptures some of y'all pull out of your ass, it's just, it's really just something. It's a sight to behold. It's a sight to behold. It really is. You make up stuff. And so there are, and I'm going to play a few of these videos, because what I was mentioning and what I was stressing in this video that I just did recently was that there are numbers of people, black folks, people that aren't black, who are being adversely impacted by these storms. They ain't got nothing to do with these histories that you're bringing up. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They have nothing to do with it. Nothing. But yet they are out here suffering because of this stuff. And like I said, just recently, I posted a video. It was actually, well, I posted a video, but it was made up of several videos of a young black woman talking about a town in Louisiana that is comprised of numbers of elderly black folks who just went through their own hurricane situation. And their power has been out for weeks, or I think for over a week at least. Water was out. They couldn't get the medication that they needed. The government response was extremely slow. It was so bad they had to get somebody to get on TikTok to bring attention to them, and they were crying out for help from people. So God sent, he bypassed all these other places, but he had to get to these people first. And I was recently going back and forth with someone as recently as this afternoon, and this woman had the nerve to say, well, how do you know these people aren't good? How do you know these people are good? What? How do you know these people aren't good? Don't you know that it could have been something in their past that's the reason why this is happening? So that's how this works. That's how this works. But then something happens to you. Now all of a sudden it's the devil. You see how it is? It's hopscotch religion. Let me play for you just a couple of videos. I have more, but let me just play for you a couple of the videos of real people who have been impacted by this. They ain't got nothing to do with the stuff that you're saying. Okay, so let me turn this volume up, of course. So let me go ahead and play this. Oh, it gets so quiet when I start talking like this, man. They just, ain't nobody got nothing to say now.
I'm just going to disembark so we can fit as many people on. Yep.
So here you got their white man going out and rescuing these people. All right, that's one. Here's another one.
Around 10 o'clock, that's when I seen water seeping in. I was getting buckets and putting it down the drain, but then the house literally ate us with water. Me and my children had to get on top of the couch, and when the couch got submerged in the water, I began to look out the window, seeing water come into the house. I was terrified because I heard transformers go off, and I just knew that me and my children were going to be electrocuted, and we were just going to die right then and there. All I could do was pray, and I had to be brave. I couldn't even hold both of them. I'm a single mom. I have nothing but me and my children. We were dark. We were in cold. I was afraid of snakes. I was afraid of being electrocuted, and I was afraid to actually be the one that passed away and then my kids have to suffer. It was very terrifying. So when I seen the refrigerator float, I got on top of the oven, and I just seen the water pouring, and I just told my children, we have to get out of here. It was very scary. It felt like a movie, a worst nightmare, the worst nightmare, and I'm so glad that I'm actually able to talk about it right now.
Okay, so there you go. So she was talking about her situation there, and thankfully she survived, because once again, you had the Babylonian police rescue squad came and helped her. Meanwhile, all of these faceless religious people that have been bringing all the smoke, doing all these videos talking about it's the judgment of God, ain't doing a doggone thing to help these people. Right now, I'm actually talking to someone trying to see how we can get a generator down there to one of these families. But I've been challenging these Negroes and asking, okay, what are you doing to help these people that are now trying to figure out how they're going to piece their lives together besides giving them all your little scriptures? What are you giving them? What organization are you putting together to help them? I'm seeing all of these state, local, governmental organizations that have come together like Voltron and are literally on the ground, boots on the ground, helping these people. Meanwhile, you're hemmed up in your mama's basement, in your church, or wherever it is that you are, hundreds of miles away, and then you want to post stuff online and laughing, talking about this is God's judgment on all of them. You guys are some straight up clowns, man. I'm serious. Here's another video here. Let me see if I can find this. This is a black man. He had a few words to say on this too. Let me see. Give me just a moment. It's coming up. All right, let's see. Let's see, where's that volume? All right, hold on.
I'm like, the tornado hit before the hurricane.
All right, I know y'all don't see it. I'm trying to bring it up. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go.
Watching the news, and the news say a hurricane coming, so prepare for the hurricane. I try to get prepared for the hurricane, then the tornado hit. I'm like, the tornado hit before the hurricane. This is a double disaster. The main thing, we need to come together as people, man. And we supposed to be getting wiser as the years go by, you know, and learning how to deal with things. You know, it seems like everybody running their own way. How we gonna ever rise to an occasion when everybody running their own way? That's the part that's devastating to me more than the winds and the rains.
I've been saying that, haven't I? Literally, that's exactly what I have been saying on this platform. It's no different than that. Now, let me give you just, because what we're going to do in this portion here is that for those religious people who love using their Bible to justify the nonsensical stuff that they were throwing out here, saying that people like this man that I just showed you, people like this woman that I just showed you, and then the other examples we've shown. Well, hey, listen, things just happen, you know, when God's judgment come, hey, listen, he gonna just strike everybody. They're gonna be stray bullets everywhere. Hey, you just better make sure you ain't nowhere around when that happens. Shoot. Okay, well, let's go to your Bible and we're going to show just how much your logic and you are trash. Okay? So we're going to go to Daniel chapter 3, verse 26 and 27. All right. This is out of your Bible. Let's read it. It says, then Nebuchadnezzar came near the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth, come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. And the princes, the governors, the captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was a hair on their head singed, neither were the coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. So again, according to the story in your Bible, they were able to be in the midst of the fire and not be touched. Okay, so that's one example. Now let's go to Exodus chapter 14, verse 21 and 22. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove back the sea with a strong east wind, that turned it into dry land. So the waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground with walls of water on their right and on their left. Now, when you read this account, there's not one mention of any casualties. There's not one mention of anybody falling into the water. And then one of Pharaoh's military guys, he catching them up and say, look, I got you. I'll catch you up to Moses and them, okay? You don't read not one example of that. It was according to the story, this was a strategic transfer where everybody was protected. There was no people. You don't read any accounts in this story of Israelites getting caught up in the wind as they were crossing over the Red Sea. You don't hear that one. It said the ground was dry. So that means now one of them should have got water on it. I can't tell you how many AI photos I see of people uploading, and it's supposed to be the depiction of Moses and the children of Israel crossing the Red Sea in waist deep water. I was like, how is this even? Do y'all read your Bible? How about that? Because this account, it tells you they want dry ground. Do you understand what I'm saying? So again, okay, so let's move on to the next example. You remember in the Bible where it was talking about how Abraham was pleading, he was going back and forth with God, and saying, hey, listen, what if there's 100 people? What if there's, he was going down. And he said, listen, I will spare these cities for the sake of one righteous. That's how strategic, specific his judgment was, according to your Bible. In other words, he said, listen, I'm not going to allow any of my people to be hurt when I rain this out. I promise you that. According to the book, he made it very clear in these examples that, listen, when I pour out my judgment, when I pour out my wrath, there's nothing going to come to my people at all. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And so but here's the thing, the religious people, they just assume that when you see people going through stuff, hardships due to nature, whatever, right? You just assume that it must be something that they did that was wrong. Not understanding that there are bad things that also happen to good people. Not to mention the fact that I just told you, I know people that were impacted by not this storm, but the one before that. And these people are very precious and dear. They give back to the community. I mean, they do the whole nine. They're Christians and, so they try to live along that lifestyle, that kind of thing, but they're good people. But you not knowing, you just want to assume that these people must be evil to fit your narrative. You just want to assume, even at the expense of your own people, that they must be bad. And then and so it's your religion that will throw your own people under the bus. How disgusting is that? You literally will throw your own people under the bus. Well, hey, you just weren't doing all the things you were supposed to be doing. That's just what it is. I mean, maybe you got some Edomite in your blood, and, maybe you weren't one of the true, one of us and all of that. And you don't even know. You don't know any of that. But then the moment one of them gets shot by a white cop, now all of a sudden you want to take ownership of it. Why? Because it fits your narrative. But it's just the amount of ignorance that I saw in this. It just was sickening. It's sickening to me to see how many people actually buy into this madness when you're willing to throw your own people under the bus like this, all for religion. And it reminds me of something else, a couple of things. I said, it's really I said religion, but more specifically, since we're talking about black folks, you'll see this specifically amongst black folks. It seems like the deity or the deities and the powers of your whatever deity that you worship, and I'm saying black people, and I'm also encompassing in that in Africans and Caribbeans and all of that stuff, and you're gonna see why in a moment, okay? That it always seemed as if the only people that incurred the wrath or the judgment of whoever it is that you're worshiping are your very own. It's never the other people. So like I said, in this case, you got people that look like you who had nothing to do with that history at all. And you just assuming that, okay, they must be sellouts, or they must be this, or they must have done this. And you don't know anything. You just assuming because it has to fit your narrative. And so, but when you ask, okay, well, what about these other areas right here where you got these other suburban places here where there was a lot of other stuff going on? They never get touched on anything. Well, that's a little different. Well, God's going to take his time. Well, and then they try to flip it back on you. Well, you trying to act like you know God more than God. He going to do it. They try to go there. And it's like, no. No, you're a protectionist. Your religion will allow you to protect that. And you got so much smoke for your own people. But when it comes to the people that you really should have some issues with, you'll find any and all excuses to go around and say, well, God ain't quite ready to get to them yet, but daggone it, we better get to these niggas. You just got a lot of heat for your own people. And it reminds me also of, like I was saying, when you talk about like African spirituality, there's a portion of African spirituality where they really delve into magic, right? And they talk about, oh, don't mess with them. Don't mess with this dude over here because he knows some African magic, whatever the culture is. I know. And I hear some of the Africans right now. Africa is not a country. I know that. So please don't tell me that. It's a continent. I get it. I'm just speaking in general terms. OK, so what I'm saying is that you'll hear some people saying on the continent who do practice like magic and stuff like that. They'll say, oh, don't mess with this dude. Don't mess with her because when she casts a spell on you, oh, you may turn into a frog or you'll turn into a turtle. You'll turn into a tree or something like that, and it's always this magic when it comes to if the magic or the curses are being directed towards other Africans, it seems like it works quite well, don't it? But then when you say, okay, well, why don't y'all get together and start running the colonizer out? How about you got all this magic, right? They'll post stuff on social media and they'll say, look at this witch doctor. You see him floating in the air. African magic is real. And they'll show him floating in the air or whatever. Okay, well, once you float their behinds up out of your land, why can't you get together and do that? Well, see, it doesn't work that way. Well, what's your problem? All of a sudden they try to switch it back on you. I'm like, I ain't got no problem. I'm just asking. You want me to believe in that, but you can't even. And it's the same thing with voodoo. Voodoo's no different. Oh, you better watch out for these voodoo priests, man. They once they get on board and they start speaking them words on you, it's a wrap. Okay, then the voodoo priests of Haiti, okay, run out the gang members, run out the white people that's taking up your precious metals and all that. Well, brother, it doesn't work that way. What do you mean it don't work that way? I thought they're supposed to be all powerful. Why does it only work on black folks? And Christian religious folks ain't no different. The judgment that you always talk about seems like it only works against your own people. And you'll sit up here and make all kinds of excuses for that. You will. it also reminds me, it was a time we went on a trip to Hawaii. Oh man, this was like years ago. Years ago, we went on our family went on a trip to Hawaii, and we went on one of these volcanoes. It's like a volcano. You can go there and get on top of the what you call it, the volcano. And well, me, I love collecting stuff. Okay, so I don't go to Hawaii all the time. Okay, that was the first and probably one of the only times I'm going to go. It's nice. You know what I mean? At least the part we went on, it was nice, but there's a lot of other nice places in the world I would love to see. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so we went on this we went on this volcano, right? But that part was interesting. And the tour guide, he was like, I'm not making this up. I'm trying to speak like he was speaking. He was like, because he was calling everybody cousin, right? He was like, cousins. Now, before you go out there, I want you to understand, cousins, you don't pick up any of the rocks and take them back. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because the God of the mountain, really doesn't like that or whatever. So I was like, all right, well, okay. I ain't going to do nothing. And then me, halfway up there, I'm like, man, I'm going to take something, right? I don't think I took anything, but, still, it was nice. It was neat to see, right? Then we got on the bus after we did all the tour and all that. We get back on the bus and he was like, okay, cousins, I want to remind you again. And dude was going on for like 5 minutes, like really pouring this out, talking about, oh, cousins, if you took one of those rocks, I'm telling you right now, you may need to go ahead and throw it out the window right now. The god of the, whatever the god or goddess of the volcano, they don't like that. And then he went on to say, talking about how, all of y'all, the way you got to this area, you got here by plane. That's a lot of ocean. I hope you make it. And he was serious. I mean, I would sit up there like, well, dang, like he was like pouring it on like, oh, if you took one of them rocks. And so I'm sitting up here thinking, I'm like, okay, let me scratch my head for a second. Okay, so the god of the volcano gonna have an issue with me taking a rock. But all these white people coming here taking your land, and somehow the God is like, see, that's a little different here. See, I can't really protect my own people. See, now you're dealing with white people. I can't do that with white people. Who do you think I am? Now all of a sudden the God is powerless now. I mean, literally, who becoming more and more the homeless in Hawaii? The Hawaiians. You talk about all these gods of the mountains and all this stuff, and the biggest homeless folks in Hawaii are the Hawaiians themselves. We live in the Phoenix, Arizona area. Don't you know there's a significant Hawaiian population out here? Bruh, they literally have scattered in the desert. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is. They've been chased off of their own island. But you want me to get all scared up for taking a rock? Because the God that's protecting the Hawaiians somehow gonna get pissed off? You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm getting at? A lot of these religions, many of these religions are designed to keep people, I'm talking like brown people, a lot of people, to keep us at a place where we are self-policing ourselves to our own detriment, where we believe all this. So something bad happens. Oh, you better watch it. You better not. You get a cold. See, you talking about touch not God's anointed. Do his prophets no harm. And you talking about a dude that been in a bed with a whole acre of children. But if I say something, touch not God's anointed. And now we're talking about, in this case, you're talking about some real people who had absolutely nothing at all to do with the real history. When we talk about the racist history of this country, and, and particularly in some of these towns, they had nothing to do with it. In many cases, they don't even live in these towns and they're being impacted by this stuff. That's who I'm talking about. But people didn't want to hear that. They were so bloodthirsty to get some blood on their altar. They are even willing to throw their own people on that altar. And you some sick, disgusting pieces of trash to even think that way. Don't ever come my way again. Don't ever come this way again. Not with that mess. When you're that bloodthirsty to satisfy whoever the God is that you worship, that you're willing to see your own people thrown onto the altar like that. That's disgusting. It is. It's crazy. And so, yeah, that was the what we talked about on that particular video there. And like I said, I got a lot of people had a whole lot to say. And I also had to block quite a few people, too, because they were getting all kinds of stuff. It's like they couldn't focus. They couldn't even focus. They were trying to bring on all these different scriptures. And then, of course, then they showed just how religious they were. Next, I had one guy talking about, you know, grandpa, you need to go sit down somewhere. You old man, you need to go somewhere and sit down and all. You know, I was like, oh, OK, so now we're getting into that. So now's my age. Now we're talking about my age. The nastiness comes straight out. They will point out every devil in the book. They will invent devils. But they are really the devil themselves. A lot of these religious people are really devils themselves. The way they look at people, the way they treat people. Do you know how long this platform, we talked about I can't really say the word, but that just happened a few years ago, and how much warning we put out there for people. And we said, no, you can't, please think about this before you do it. Right. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. We went overboard and we paid a heavy price for that too. Right. But even with that, we still are here for people. We still hear from people from time to time that sat there, heard all of that pleading, all the information we put out. They still took it. And if they write in or whatever and they say, hey, listen, I took this or whatever, what can I do? We ain't sitting up there like, well, hey, listen, you should have heard what we said. See, God is destroying you because you got the mark of the beast on you right now and you ain't got nothing. No, you need to step away. That's the judgment of God for you being disobedient. No. You know what we say on that? Well, you're alive now, aren't you? Okay. Well, let's do everything we can to make sure that becomes a permanent thing. Let's take a look at it. Let's see what herbs are out there that can kind of help you with this or whatever. Now, here are the facts, what they're saying, but you're still alive, which means there's still some hope. Okay. And, and just being able to do that, it changes just like that. People that, all of a sudden they realize, okay, snap. All right. Okay. Well, you ain't trying to throw me in the fire. No, I'm not at all. Because as long as you're alive, that means there's some hope there. And let's see what we can do to change that. But don't go to a religious person like that. They will throw your behind under the bus with a whole heap load of curses and not do a doggone thing to help you. Not one thing. These people are pathetic, man. Someone said in healthcare, strokes and cancer are through the roof. They are. They are. And it's probably related to what, to the thing we can't talk about here, right? But what do? You're going to say, well, you took the thing and I ain't going to do. No, you don't do that. If you, this person that just wrote that, if she's in healthcare, then she's committed to make sure that these people stay alive, period. You understand? That's how it's supposed to work. But because you got people who are so committed to build, how you got build a bear, you got build a God. They will build something. They will find pieces of stuff to try to bring some legitimacy to their belief system. They will throw their own people under the bus and give up on them. They're the first ones to give up on their own people. And that's sick. Like I said, stay away from me with that foolishness. Stay away all the way from me with that foolishness. Anyway, I spent enough time on that. But let's move on here. The other thing we talked about, and for those that are just joining us again, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. We're just now in this portion. We're just going over some of the stories that we covered this week. And, you know, some people had some issues. And so later on in this broadcast, we're going to give people the opportunity to call in, you know, and to say your say, because a lot of people had a whole lot to say. Whoa, you had a whole lot to say. And so now we're going to give you an opportunity to say your say. All right. So anyway, let me go. So say, the Christians have some of the highest rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide. The mentality is the reason why, and then it skipped off there. Is the reason why. There you go. I read it right. Anyway, I mean, can you argue with that? Anyway, okay, so the other story we talked about, and I'll try to get through this one quickly, was the one about the woman who has the facility down in Jamaica. You know, what was it? Trying to pull this up here. And what she was saying was that she was having, out of all the people that she has issues with, you know, because it's just it was like an Airbnb type situation. And like I said earlier, she's not hurting at all. Like I think she's actually sold a lot of those places, but she's doing fine. And she was just saying, in her experience, the biggest problem, the people who have brought the most problems, and when she says problems, she's talking about, you know, like yelling at her staff, tearing stuff up, getting into fights and all this other stuff on her property. She initially, when she first came out, which was, I would say probably about a year ago, it was, and this is the video right here, she was saying it was African Americans. All right. She said mostly African Americans. She says not all African Americans. She said mostly most of the time is African Americans. Right. And a lot of people, of course, flip their lid over that. Right. But the woman really wasn't saying anything different than some of the examples I'm going to give you in a little bit. But people, you know, flip their lid, and we don't want to come to you, you know, and then they all came out. We want to come to your little dirty island anyway. These are black people saying this stuff, right? And you know, just saying all kinds of stuff. And, you know, they really just hate black people. They hate black Americans. And, you know, it's the whole, you know, the thing that's going on right now, right? But if you really listen to what she was saying, again, she kept saying it's not all black Americans. She said, well, just some of them. But they seem like they're the ones that are just the repeat ones that say, I just have most problems with, right? She said, all these other people that come, black people that come from this part of the country, world, and this part of the world, they come out, I don't have any problems with them. She said, but this one. So anyway, fast forward, she does another video recently she posted on her channel, and she said the same thing. She said, this is why, you know, and I'm just letting you know, whatever. I mean, it's still happening or whatever. And so I asked her, I said, okay, because I think what would help me to understand, are you just saying African Americans, period, or is it African American men, or is it African American women specifically? What are we talking about? And so I didn't think she would respond, but she did. She responded, and she said, it's 99% African American women. So once I heard that, I said, okay, now this is starting to make a little more sense. It wouldn't matter if it was men or women in that case. It just narrows it down so we can figure this out and say, okay, what's happening? And she said, hey, listen, I'm not saying all black women are bad. I'm not saying that. She's just saying the ones that I personally had to deal with on this property, it seems like they give me the most problems. Okay. And that's what she said. And so I said, okay. And then use the video as, okay, so this is what she's saying now. And then I wrapped the video up. I kind of used that as a jumping point to say, hey, we know that this is an issue. It just so happens she's saying that, you know, but what can we do? Because what she's really talking about is the ratchet element amongst our people. Because we know, and I said this repeatedly, we know that it's not all black women that fit into that narrative or into that category. We know this. Okay. We know this. I don't know how many ways it needs to be said or whatever. We know that all black women aren't going to go into a situation and tear things up and be loud and all that stuff. We know this. Okay. People who got sanity brains, sane minds, we know this. But we also know that there is an element within our culture, just like in any other culture, of individuals that do give us the most problems. We talk about it all the time. We joke about it all the time. But yet, when it comes down to having a serious discussion about how do we deal with that specific element, that's when the roof gets blown off and then people just lose their ever-living minds. It's like they can't even handle the discussion. And so that's what I was like trying to drive at. At the end of the video, I said, hey, listen, what can we do to really separate ourselves from this specific element of people that seems like they keep bringing these problems over and over again? Well, a good percentage of people that saw the video, well, the majority of people, let's just say that saw the video actually got it. But the loudest ones in the comment section, they clearly didn't, because all they saw was this is a Jamaican woman. She's talking about all black women and we got to do something about it. And I was like, that's not what she's saying. And no matter how many times I repeated over and over again, they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear it. They were saying, you should be defending black women. And I'm like, I do defend black women all the time, but you are not going to see me dying on the hill for ratchet people. I'm not doing that. You understand? I'm not doing that at all. And so I actually have a couple of examples that I want to show you that it's not just her. This is not just her. Do you guys remember, and I don't have to, well, y'all know, for our Texas people, and some of y'all who may not be in Texas, but you are familiar with the story. Remember the turkey leg hut? Well, you know, that's a whole drama in of itself, because they have a lot of mess going. I think they're going out of business now. That turned out to be a disaster, didn't it? Well, before it got to that point, this was a restaurant that, you know, served some, from what I heard, it was really, really good food. And the thing they said, that it was a couple, they said, we really want to have a good climate here that's welcoming for everybody, you know, because we got all kinds of people that come here. We have a lot of families that come here that, you know, and just want it to be a nice, friendly atmosphere, you know, just a nice, relaxing atmosphere. And unfortunately, it was the ratchet element of our people who had to turn it out. You had women coming in there with their breasts hanging all out, booty shorts. You had men coming in there acting all crazy, doing stuff. And the owner, the husband, he was saying, like, because they even had a DJ, and you know, the DJ, he was playing some, you know, he playing, you know, hip hop music, you know, black music and stuff. And he noticed that there was a connection between that and the type of clientele that was coming in. So he said, okay, put on some white music. He put on some, I don't know what it was, Britney Spears or something like that. And he was like, it changed the whole environment. They calmed down. They calmed down. It was because he saw it getting ready to ramp up again. They calmed down, and that's it. And then I start seeing a bunch of think pieces coming up saying that they're targeting black people. They say, how are they targeting? They're targeting all black people. See, this is what happens when black people, they get a little bit much. You trying to think you better than us? Yes, I am. I am better than you. Exactly. I don't want to be trash. I don't want to be ratchet, and you shouldn't want to be ratchet either. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. So no, I don't want to be like you. I'm trying to help you. And I'm not trying to get you to abandon your blackness. I'm trying to get you to abandon your ignorance, okay? And your self-hatred. That's what we're trying to do by creating an environment that's welcoming for all of these other people who don't like to do all of that stuff. I don't want to see, the only breast I should be seeing in a restaurant is on my plate, not in front of my face like that. Do you understand? I don't want to see I don't want to see that. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. And so, and then it got so bad. The video that we did where we talked about it, I found a clip where you had a woman, this is a black woman. She was so pissed off at what happened at this couple raising the bar, raising the standard and saying, hey, listen, you know, dress code. I had the video. I played it. It's on the video. If you search on our platform, you'll find it. This black woman took all of her clothes off. She walked into their restaurant butt naked. She didn't have a stitch of clothes on. And she was like, shoot, I'm just going to show them something. And took off all her clothes and walked into their restaurant. Like, who does that? You understand what I'm saying? Never mind, you got children or whatever around there. She made the conscious choice that she's going to show them that, no, I'm ratchet and you're going to accept me. So she took her clothes off and walked into the restaurant. And, I can't really replay it. I had to cut it up because, you ain't getting me in trouble. But that's what happened. But see, this is what I'm saying. It's like this overboard entitlement mindset that you think you could just do anything. No, it's wrong. And we need to draw the line on it. Here's another story here. This is another restaurant. Let's see here. Okay, this is a restaurant. I think this is in DC. Now, this is back in 2020. Black-owned restaurant, Kitchens and Cocktails by Kevin Kelly's Dallas Post. Anyway, it says dress code announcement. Moving forward, out of the respect of our customers, who want a proper vibe, we are enforcing a dress code disallowing guests from appearing in tank tops, flip-flops, clothes with explicit attire, some bodysuits, ball caps, jerseys, and attire that does not meet the expectation. Over the past several weeks, we have attempted to be suggestive with a dress code, but we now must be mandatory because of guests sagging and otherwise appearing at true in not the best form. Please appear as if you would like others to smile and respect your appearance. We have the right to refuse service and will exercise this right if anyone appears in a way that is not respectful to the majority of our guests. Now, even with that, they're being, respectful, but they got to draw the line. I remember when this story came out. I got other examples I could show you too of black American restaurants having to draw this line and say, no, enough is enough. We can't, we can't allow this in this space. So for people who watched that video where we were talking about what the Jamaican woman was saying, you would have understood what's really happening and why we were saying at the end of the video, okay, what can we do in our daily lives to separate ourselves from that element? If you go through the comments of that video, you know how many people actually took that challenge and said, you know what, here's some things we can do. Zero, not one person. You know, all the comments were saying they were coming after her and they were coming after me for even bringing it up. And they still hot. And no matter what I say, they try to, and someone had the nerve to say, well, what this, talking about the Jamaican woman, what she should do. Well, first of all, let me say this about that Jamaican woman. If you actually take the time and go to her channel, platform, or whatever on TikTok, she calls out her own people. She calls out Jamaicans for stuff that they do. But see, ignorant people don't want to know that. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, what was I going to say? The restaurant, what was I getting ready to say on that? Anyway, I'll just bring this to a close on that, is that, yes, that was the challenge put before people. But what this thing taught me, and then after this, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to get into the other news items that, like I said, we'll talk about, okay? But what this showed me at the end of the day, the video that I posted, I think it was either early this week or at the close of last week, if I'm trying to remember when I posted that video about, building a black community. What it shows me is that you cannot, one thing that as black people, what we have to understand is this: we have to get out of our minds that somehow there's going to be something that's going to happen that's going to bring all black people together and we're all going to miraculously start working together and be on one accord. That's never going to happen. Okay, let me say that for you again. That is never going to happen. I'm sorry to burst your bubble there, but it's just not going to happen. Now, am I saying that black people will never work together? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is this, is that people, just because people may look like you, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're for you. And we're going to have to get to a place where we fully begin to recognize that and stop feeling as if we got to rescue and save everybody. And I'm saying that to myself too, because there are people out there that got some serious problems that need to be fixed and resolved. And so when you want to sit down and have a conversation about strategy, strategic things on how we can repair and rebuild, you can't have that kind of conversation with people who are mentally challenged. You cannot have that kind of conversation with people who are too religious. Because if they're religious, if they're deep in their religion, you can't talk about strategy. The only strategy they have is throwing more scriptures at you. They don't care about helping people, as we talked about earlier. They don't care about that. They just care about, well, one day we're gonna get snatched up in the sky, so I don't have to think about any of this stuff. I'm just saying. And what I also went ahead and said even further on that video, I said some of the people in your smaller networks may not even be black. And I know that bothers some people, but see, privately, many of you know that that's true. Many of you know that many of you got people in your life that may not be black, but these are people that you have developed a very good relationship with. They have proven themselves to be loyal, faithful, trustworthy, the whole nine and all of that. That's good. You should hold on to that. And what I'm saying, it's no different than any other group. Other groups think this way too. You understand what I'm saying? So again, this whole mindset, I don't know if it comes out of religion or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't know where it comes from, that somehow there's this miraculous thing that we're all going to just meld together, and all become this one big black person. And then we're going to all march to Zion and all that. That ain't happening. It's not. I mean, even the religious folks, they fighting with each other. They can't even agree on the scripture. And you think somehow that they're going to rise above that? They can't even demonstrate that now. Like I said, it's crazy. It's like, it's funny how religion works. Your prophecies only work when there's destruction. But what about the times when people are poor? What about the times when people are hungry or sick? You're supposed to be already have the answer for that, but you never demonstrate that. Well, because it ain't really that time. And see what it is that, it's some things we ain't doing. And, the law, statutes, and commandments, we're not really doing all that. And that's why you got an excuse for everything you got an excuse for. But soon as a bolt lightning comes and strikes somebody, he was probably in need of money. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Well, anyway, so that's that on those topics there. So what we're going to do now, let us take a short break. And then when we come back, it's not even plugged in. Anyway, then when we come back, I'll just play a little bit of music here. Then when we come back, we're going to get into what Obama was talking about. Okay. And his foolish stuff. And not just Obama, but these other, Democrat surrogates and what they're putting out here. And I told y'all that I'm be working hard tonight. So, if you're willing to hang in there, I'm be here tonight. And then later on, we're going to give people an opportunity, because I know I said some hard things tonight. We're going to have an opportunity for you to call in and sound off. Okay. So let me put on some music for you, and I'll be right back. I'm just taking a short break. Okay. All right. Ha, 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 ha. Where my California people at? There's a I'm on TikTok, right? And it really looks like it's in San Bernardino somewhere or Moreno Valley. That's what it looks like. Anyway, on TikTok, I think it's like every Thursday night. I don't know the channel. I can't. Don't ask me the name of it. But there's a they show, it's a DJ. He has a TikTok channel, and he's always showing black folks roller skating at a roller skating rink, and he's playing all the oldies and stuff like that. Sometimes I just sit down and look at it, and but it's in California somewhere. I don't know if it's in Moreno Valley, somewhere else in San Bernardino, or I don't know where it is, but I know it's in Southern California. I just don't know exactly where. But how many of y'all, you can put it in the chat. How many of y'all still roller skate? How many of y'all still roller skate? Put it in the chat, or you don't skate at all. Or put in the last time you roller skated. Yeah, I would love to try that again. I'm not as smooth as a lot of people, okay? I could get around the rink, okay? I can get around the rink. All that going backwards and all that stuff, I'm just not, I'm not going to even try that. And one time I shared this story. I had never gone ice skating. This was like, oh my goodness, this is like, this is many, many moons ago. And so someone said, hey, we should go ice skating. So it was in the summertime. So I said, okay, we'll go ice skating. And it was summertime, and I go into the ice skating rink with shorts on, Okay, so I'm falling all over the place. My knees all bloody. Look like I played NHL hockey, man, and didn't even get around one time yet. And I'm the most injured out there. I was like, Lord, let me go sit down somewhere. I'm not going to embarrass myself anymore with this. But anyway, yeah, that's something. But roller skating, I just hope that doesn't get taken away from us. It's just so much fun. Even if you don't roller skate and just sitting back and watching people, I think that's just so much fun. So much fun. So many memories when I think about that. But anyway, let me go ahead and continue. All right, so Obama has blessed us by showing up to talk to the black men who refuse to support Kamala. All right, so we're going to play this video here of Obama talking to the black men. All right. And let's take a listen to what he has to say, y'all, okay? Because we know that if he's speaking about Kamala, we know that it must be important. Let's take a listen.
Is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly.
All right, let me stop here for a second because, he's loading up. You ever notice that anytime these politicians, you see where my mouse is right here? Anytime these politicians are talking, there's always a person behind them doing this little hand sign. They always are around. It's the little things, y'all. It's the little things. And trust and know nobody just naturally rests their hand like that, okay? So no, I ain't seeing things, and no, I ain't making nothing up. Anytime these politicians are talking, there's always someone behind them doing this hand gesture. Ain't that something? Anyway, let's listen to Pastor Obama.
And say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences. He's had to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land.
Shut up. Anyway, let's move on. There's another one here because he got some other clips here. That was him just getting warmed up. He got some other clips here where he was really going to work, man, overtime trying to get black folks. You better listen. Is this the one here? Hold on.
You found out was just making stuff up.
Oh yeah. Here's the other one here. Hold on. Oh, he was really going to work today. But it wasn't just him. Okay, so this is him. This is more of Papa.
You found out was just making stuff up. You'd at least give him a talking to. And you sure wasn't putting him in charge of anything. So, you know, I didn't mean to get so serious. But when I hear about this stuff, I start feeling like we don't have enough of a sense of what's at stake here. These aren't ordinary times, and these are not ordinary elections. You're lucky Michelle's not here.
You heard what he said? Go back.
These aren't ordinary times, and these are not ordinary elections. You're lucky Michelle's not here.
You lucky that Michelle ain't here.
She really talking serious about this stuff. So, but here's the good news, right? The good news is that not only as Attorney General and as a senator and as a vice presidential and now as the nominee for the Democratic Party, Kamala has made us proud. She has been out there. If you doubt that, I hope y'all watched the debate because that wasn't close. That was like Mike Tyson. Back in the day, you know, it was like,
no, that wasn't like Tyson. That wasn't like Tyson. That was like Tyson frozen chicken, maybe you talking about that Tyson, but no. It was like, oh man, stop that now. So we know she can do the job, and she's got an outstanding partner in Tim Walz. Okay, whatever. I can't with this dude. I can't with this dude. So, you know, Obama's out here going after the black men, you know, and saying, you better be glad, you know, of course, I got to add, you better be glad that Michelle ain't here. Like, okay, like his wife, because she really give you a talking to. All right. And it keeps going. I might as well just leave this up here. This is my Twitter feed is full of just this whole thing now. I'm telling you right now, that internal polling data, it must be looking horrible for them to have to come back to Black Thanos. You know that line he says, after all of that, you still come back to me. You got to come back to Black Thanos. And now y'all on full attack mode. Here's a clip of this woman here, another black or whatever woman. Let's listen to what she got to say.
Is actually for all men. I think men are in crisis, actually, in this country. I think that plays out different ways. And not all men are in crisis, of course. And not all men are just at home listening to Joe Rogan, being angry or being recruited to fascism. Some just need therapy, like we all do. I go to therapy, that's great. But I think we need to have a real conversation about that rather than allowing this kind of drift toward this faux masculinity that we see Donald Trump evincing.
So men need therapy now because they're not, because again, they're not falling for Kamala. That's what they're saying right now. Gosh. Oh my goodness. Anyway, well, let me see if I can find. I hope I bookmarked that thing, man. If I didn't, I'm gonna be so mad. Ooh, I'm gonna be so mad if I oh. Hold on for a second. Let me just see something real quick. Let me see. I wonder, do they, because I noticed that sometimes I'll bookmark stuff and I go back, I can't find it. And I know I did. Anyway, let me see. Oh, it's let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this thing, man. I got to be able to find this thing. There's no way in the world, unless they just rip this thing down off of the internet. Let me see. Here it is.
Who needs personality?
Okay, here it is. I didn't do this, y'all. Someone did this. This is clearly AI, but take a listen. Watch this, y'all. Oh, come on, man. Oh, come on. Here it is.
Who needs personality when you can switch who you are at the push of a button?
It's Sid Swish Kamala. That's right.
Oh, hello, young lady. Quite a marvelous day, innit?
Why does she talk so weird?
Let me play with her.
Well, hey there, little nugget. I'm going to be the first black female president of the United States of America.
Man, this doll sucks.
Accent Switch Kamala can emulate any accent you like, as long as it grants her credibility.
Bonjour, tu aimes les croissants?
Merde américaine.
Guten Tag, Sie lieben ein Bratwurst? Ufta, 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 da.
Luke, I am your mother.
It's Sid Swish Kamala. That's right.
But wait, there's more. All new Accent Switch Kamala comes with 2 bags of campaign money, a blind eye for illegal immigration, and her own multi-laugh 3000 generator. Laugh in every way possible. Let Accent Switch Kamala turn your life into a complete circus.
When you give me more money, like Uncle Joey did.
Don't you worry, little man. The money's coming.
I don't understand.
Oh, excuse me, honey.
I meant to say, the money is coming. I love ice cream, Kamala map.
It's Accent Switch Kamala and brand new Tampon Tim.
My grandma always used to say, Kamala Janu, please wash your hands so we can eat our chicken masala.
It's Sid Swish Kamala.
Let me tell you something. This AI, man. This AI, bro. It's I think at this point that we don't even need Hollywood. We just do our own stuff now, man. Anyway, let's get back. I wanted to make sure I showed that because I know I was like, I bookmarked this thing. I can't find it. Here's your favorite morning DJ. He's been on this stuff too. And what he's saying here, no, that's not really okay. Let me go to another person here because I'll get to him in a moment because he's too much. He's too much. Let me see this other one here. This is, let's see, where is that one? Okay. I'll just jump to this one here because there was several people. The online magazine, The Root, they posted something as well. They said something to the effect, they were like, Obama says what we've all been thinking. And they went on and they were saying how is this it here? Oh yeah, this is it right here. This is it right here. Obama said what black people have been thinking. Sexism is why black men are soft on Kamala. So now we're sexist. We're sexist now. Here's another one. Stop saying she's underperforming with black voters. It's black men that's who President Obama was talking to yesterday. Black misogynistic men. Call a space a space. I thought it was call a spade a spade. Black women stay carrying heavy loads alone. We all we got. And so now we just don't like black women at all because at all. No, number one, she ain't black. So that we can destroy that narrative right now. Ain't got nothing to do with that at all. Because like someone pointed out, and I'm glad they did, when Hillary Clinton was running for office, she got a good percentage, a majority percentage of the black woman vote and also the black male vote. And this was Hillary Clinton. But now all of a sudden y'all want to say black men who are now rising up and starting to really think for themselves. Now all of a sudden we don't like black women. The premise that you're putting out here is saying you're trying to say that she's a black woman. She's not. She's not. So that's false from the beginning. But to try to portray black men in our entire history, this is why I don't dig politics at all, because everything gets thrown into this pot and people just lose their minds. See, when I treat our history as something sacred, you understand what I'm saying? And I know that we have a long history of black men supporting black women and vice versa. So that's established. That doesn't change because Kamala is coming to the picture. No, that doesn't change at all. But you got a lot of these ignorants that are out here that want to make it seem that it does. It doesn't. No. Anyway, what was it, the thing I was trying to show y'all? Let's see. It was, I can't play Charlemagne the God. Okay, this is from Nina Turner. Okay, Nina Turner, I'm just going to say she's a grifter. Okay, and I do have some issues with her because she has a history of definitely talking out of both sides of her mouth. She does. And, you know, I just, whatever. But I will say on this topic, she has been extremely consistent on this particular topic here. This is a clip of her appearance on CNN when, you know, these people were basically, again, just taking turns, tagging, you know, on black men this and black men that and all this other stuff here. And Nina Turner, this is what she had to say, and I'm glad she was there and said what she said. Let's take a listen.
They need to appeal to the needs of the voters. And so when I was a delegate for President Obama in both of his elections in Ohio, right now the vice president is down 11 points in Ohio, even though I fully expect President Trump to take Ohio as he did twice, but to be down 11 points compared to President Biden, that is a problem. But this other issue I want to bring up is a problem too. Why are black men being lectured to? Why are black men being belittled in ways that no other voting group? Now, a lot of love for former President Obama, but for him to single out black men is wrong. And some of the black men that I have talked to have their reasons why they want to vote a different way. And even if some of us may not like that, we have to respect it. So unless President Barack Obama is going to go out and lecture every other group of men from other identity groups, my message for Democrats is don't bring it here to black men who, by and large, don't vote much differently from black women.
Right on, 100% right. And you notice the host, watch her face. Now you see her face. Woo-hoo! Mrs. Freeze, y'all. Woo! She like, wait a minute now. Now, Nina, you getting off script there. All right, then go ahead. Now she always got the same expression on her face. She's like, wait a minute now. Hold on now. Hold on for a second now. And she ain't got nothing in it. Just, yeah. But she letting them go. She letting them know. She's letting them know. And I'm glad it's being said. But like I said, the fact that they're going this hard towards black men, it shows that they are in a lot of trouble. And all of that they were saying, all that stuff. You remember all that, what they were putting out about, look at the black men. They're standing up. They're leading the way, and raising money and Roland Martin and all that stuff. I guess they ain't me. I guess they ain't really doing nothing now. I guess they ain't really doing a whole lot now. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see the turnout of this particular election. It's going to be really interesting to see. But from what I'm seeing and what I'm sensing, they are not doing well at all. I'm talking about the Kamala Harris train. It's not doing well at all because, like I said, as hard as they're going right now towards black men, what it tells me is that they are in a lot of trouble. The next thing next week, what they'll probably be doing is going after the Jehovah's Witness vote. When they doing that, it's bad. When they start going after the Jehovah's Witness vote, it's bad. Be chasing the Jehovah's Witness down. Be the first time in modern history Jehovah's Witnesses are the ones that are hiding. They hiding. They're like, hold on for a second. They ain't supposed to work this way. Well, anyway, what I'm going to do now, let me see what the next topic, what do we have? The next thing I had on deck, I was talking about the WNBA. Let me see here. Let me play this one instead. We'll talk about the WNBA in a moment here. Elon Musk, he just released these things. They're called Optimus. And I'm going to tell you, all the movies that we've seen, y'all, all the movies we have seen, they were just simply telling us what was about to happen. And I'm going to play this clip for you here on the screen here. This is part of what this is. And this is very real. This is not like, they're just saying, no, this is real. They're about to get into production with this stuff now. Check this out.
I think this will be the biggest product ever of any kind. Yeah. Because I think everyone of the 8 billion people of Earth, I think everyone's going to want their Optimus buddy. And there's going to be maybe 2. And then they'll be producing products and services. I predict, actually, provided we address risks of digital superintelligence, 80% probability of good, a good outcome. Look on the bright side. The cup is 80% full. The cost of products and services will decline dramatically, and basically anyone will be able to have any products and services they want. It will be an age of abundance, the likes of which people have almost no one has envisioned. It'll be something special.
Okay, let me see if I can get there was another one here that really showed a little bit more here. Let me see if I can get that clip here. Hold on for a second. Let's see, go to YouTube. Let me pull this up for y'all real quick here. Optimus robot. I wanted to play this because this is really important. Okay, so this will be good. I think this is it. Might be a commercial coming up. Yep, caught it. All right, let's see. All right, I'm trying to get to the part where they're actually showing these things here. All right, here it is. Okay. All right, let's get it up on the screen and let's take a look.
We've made a lot of progress with Optimus. And
I'm kind of turning it down because I don't want them to get me on the music. All right, so I'll just skip because like I said, they'll try to get me. But these are real things here. And as you can see here a little bit here, these are real robots that are doing, just like you see in the movies, helping around the house, and just doing all kinds of stuff, serving drinks and all of that. Seriously, it's just, if you've ever seen Westworld, this is Westworld right here. And they're actually doing it now. And the thing that was really interesting to me about this as well is that, see, it's no longer a movie now. The impact that this, the impact that this will have, he was talking about even in the what you call it, the service department, it's going to be really something, the impact that it's going to have on that, because, the amount of jobs that's going to be replaced, there's going to be even more jobs. Think about, you remember Will Smith's mom in iRobot? She said, guess what? I got me one too. And he was in there cooking stuff up and made sweet potato pie and all that stuff. You remember all that? You might want to watch iRobot again, because this is what they're talking about now. And just imagine, think about in what you call Amazon warehouses. You got a bunch of robots that are pretty much running all of that. He also just, and this is Elon Musk, he also just released a bunch of like Tesla taxis. Here in the Phoenix area, we already have driverless taxis that go all around the city. It's pretty common. You look, I still quite fascinated in looking at them, but at the same time, just think about all the Uber drivers and the Lyft drivers that eventually are going to be eliminated, because now you're just going to have a bunch of these driverless cars all around now. You understand what I'm saying? So this transition is happening right before our eyes. And see how this ties into what we were talking about earlier as a people. And I want you to please hear what I'm saying here. This is why you got to separate yourself from the foolishness and the fools. Because if you are trying to, you're not going to make it through this transition if you still trying to hold on to ignorant stuff. You understand what I'm saying? You're going to get left behind. You're going to be blasted. You understand what I'm saying? So these people are moving on. They're giving you movies and everything else and telling you, okay, this is where we're going now. So what's some of the jobs we need to start looking into? Repair of these robots. They've been laying this out and telling you how to think ahead, but how many people are really thinking along these lines? Shoot, don't get me started. Just because I'm in my 50s right now, I'll be an old dude up here repairing them robots. Look, I may not be in the main place. I may be on the side street somewhere, and I'll do it for half price. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? One eye may be bigger than the other, but I'm gonna make sure your robot gonna work. No, I'm just playing. But he got one big arm and one little arm, but he gonna work though. But anyway, let's move on here. What was the next topic I wanted to touch on real quick here? And this one is definitely serious. This is pertaining to what's going on in Georgia. I told you I'm trying to hit a whole lot here, y'all. And we're almost through. I got a couple more stories here. This is what's going on down in Georgia. It was in Conyers, Georgia. And if you remember, right after that first hurricane, that most recent hurricane we had, there was a lot of, here it is. There was a plant in Conyers, Georgia that caught on fire. And that plant was known for making chlorophyll. Wow. Chlorine. And you don't, when chlorine, if that catches on fire, that's some nasty stuff. That's some nasty stuff. Well, just because the mainstream media isn't really talking about it, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be concerned about the after effects. And that stuff is still floating in the atmosphere. So this is from our good friend over at the Last American Vagabond channel. And it's about a 5-minute clip. And I want you to take a listen to what he's saying here. And because, again, I know many of us, we have people down in that area who could be impacted by this. OK, so let me go ahead and play this clip. OK, please listen.
Now let's get into the main topic, in my opinion, of today. So here's the show we just did. This was on October 2nd. So as always, I like to point out, demonstrating our value, that there's very few people even now who are talking about this story. And I think this is, I mean, if we're going to talk about East Palestine, this one's far more damaging in the context of what the real risk, I think, is. So as always, this, I think, it's not because it's partisan or because I think it's going to get clicks. It's because I felt it was important. And right now, clearly, this is not what everyone's talking about. So I just want to make you, if you're looking for people that are willing to cover what they think is important, even though it's not the big topic of the day, well, TLAV is for you. Major dioxin risk in Georgia, East Palestine 2.0. Well, turns out I was correct. And that was my opinion at the time. And that was based on the research that I looked at and the science. And turns out, as Scott C. Smith has just tested, that we're in this realm yet again. Now this, by the way, the same one I used for today, these two are from, that's Lebanon. That's, which one was that? Maybe Gaza? I forget. Well, they're either Lebanon or Gaza. This one was from Georgia. Now, as even Jordan says in his video with Scott, we'll play in a second, yeah, it sure does look like East Palestine, but it's not. And I've already bumped up against this, where we're talking about this on Twitter. And I pointed out, oh my God, look at this, it's crazy. And somebody underneath goes, yeah, Tim Pool covered this last year. Well, he must be a magician, seeing as how this happened a few days ago. My point is that people are conflating this with East Palestine because it looks like that. And maybe that's kind of the point. And maybe that's why the corporate media seems to be ignoring this entirely. But as Brad Nitz pointed out on the 2nd, when I covered this, I've been digging through the air quality data from last night. He said he found chlorine 22 times higher than action level. So that alone, and this is the day after, so that alone, mind you, is wildly dangerous. And we're talking about the test that they showed you saying something different. I think that's pretty concerning. The point is that that's just the chlorine, the unburned chlorine, which I'm going to get to again, is far less dangerous than the risk of dioxin because of this being burned alongside the stuff that was in there. So I just want to make sure that's clear. The problem already was dangerous, and they know this, guys. I'll prove it to you for the 45,000th time, for however many times we've covered this, showing the article from 1990 or 95, talking about the risk and how dangerous it was. Now we know it's everywhere, and they didn't do anything. Now here we are yet again. And I think the point is that they know they don't know what to do. As they'll tell you, as we've discussed, they don't know how to get rid of this. Even the highest burning incinerator we have at the highest temperature, the studies show that they still argue it does not get removed. And that's why I made the point during East Palestine that they were knowingly moving it and only spreading dioxins all over the East Coast. And I'm right. I mean, I've proven this. I've spoken to them on the phone. I spoke to Clear Harbors, which was the place that they were using, or excuse me, Clean Harbors. As Scott Smith himself pointed out, is sort of there's sort of a big open secret there. Clean Harbors Waste Disposal Ohio scandal. I have them on the phone twice in multiple locations asking them, are you able to deal with dioxins or PFAS? No. And the point is that they're going to places where they're burying it. And they know that they can't deal with either because neither are actually able to be removed for the most part based on the studies that I've seen. And even the ones that they're going to don't even have an incinerator for most cases. So it's not even beginning to get removed. So my point is, here we are with the position again, where just the chlorine itself being out there is dangerous, but how much was burned and how much is going around because of the chlorine, which creates dioxin, which TCDD being the most dangerous, which is what we're discussing, it goes states across. And I'll show you the science. I'll show you how obvious it is and how they know that and how they're actively, back to the point I was making, is that they don't know how to handle it. Because if you can't remove it, I mean, let's make this really clear in my opening point, sort of. I think that they have a problem that they've identified. And that's PFAS is the same conversation where they go, okay, we see it's a problem, but we don't know how to do anything about it. So we could stop. I mean, really what they should have done immediately was stop any production that creates this. Boom, just like that. No more chlorine, no more anything. We can't allow it. It's killing us. Or PFAS, but they don't. They just keep letting it happen while they investigate for 30, 40 years, which is whatever you want to frame it as. My point is, if you know it's a problem, if you recognize dioxins are everywhere and you don't know how to solve that problem, what do dishonest people do? Well, they just stop talking about it. Governments who are more, like with North Carolina, more interested in bureaucracy, liability removal, and money. So we've jumped forward decades where this problem's existed. No one talks about it, even though it continues to get worse. Then things like this happen in East Palestine. They're like, dioxin? And either they don't know, which is even more terrifying, or they do, and they're not telling you that. So I think they're at a point where they just are covering their butts almost just indefinitely. And I don't think that's necessarily like just EPA making that choice. I think that's a bigger problem. This is all my opinion. My point is that we know it's there. They know it's there. And for decades, they've been talking about it, or, know it's there, and they have talked about it. And we're at a point where it's not even being brought up anymore. I mean, we could talk about glyphosate or any number of these problems. They know this stuff exists, and no one seems to do anything to actually even try to reduce that problem. Now let's.
Well, let me just read this to you here. What he has, he says, the risk of dioxin exposure in Georgia is 6 times higher than it was after the East Palestine chemical spill. Air quality data shows chlorine levels are 22 times higher than the action threshold, and oxygen levels are dangerously low, below 19.5. Now, the East Palestine chemical spill, that was the chemical spill that took place, what was that, last year, I think it was. And, it was the train. It was the whole, you remember the train spilled and all that stuff. And people were seeing all kinds of stuff. And people were getting sick, animals were dying and all this other stuff. And it's in the soil, But they're saying that this one here, now, black people, I want you to hear what I'm saying to you. Okay, this point, I'm so serious about this topic. The WNBA, I'm just going to take that off, okay, for tonight. We'll talk about that another time, but we will still do after I'm finished with this, we're going to jump right into live phone calls, okay? We'll jump right into that, but I'm very serious about this, okay? Because this is way more important than WNBA to me. This chemical spill, they're saying it's 6 times worse. You remember we actually did a video or 2 videos where we were telling people in that area when that spill took place, we were telling people, listen, if you're anywhere near, we were tracking the wind direction and where this stuff was going and all of that. We were on top of that. And we were telling people, listen, black folks, if you're anywhere around there, listen, this is what you need to do. When it comes to your water, you need to do this or that or whatever. Take this stuff very seriously. Now that's East Palestine. That was what? Up in, is that Ohio? Someone could tell me exactly where that was. But that was up there. They said this is 6 times worse than that. Now the reason why I got to stress and do all of this stuff here is because nobody else is going to do it. In this area here in Conyers, there's a whole lot of black people that live there. Okay. I used to live in Georgia too, so I know. So the impact that this can potentially have over the long run in the lives of many people in that area alone over the long period of time, mark my word, it's going to be devastating if people don't take this serious. Now, let me share with you a story. Not too far from Conyers, this is many years ago. I know, yeah, Nicole and I, we weren't even married yet, but we were about to get married and we were looking for a house, right? And there's a town not too far from there, Ellingwood. Ellingwood, Georgia, which is not too far from there. And we were looking at some homes there. This was during the late 90s or whatever, during the boom, you know, the housing boom and all of that. And so, I mean, they were building houses everywhere, right? Literally everywhere. So we looked like Cobb County. We were looking all over the place. And I was like, I was telling Nicole, I said, man, I want to be where the black folks are, you know, because at that time, Cobb County, it was still a lot of white folks up there. You know, those black people starting to move up there. But I was like, man, I just want to be on this side of town, you know. I wouldn't want to be in that, you know, I wouldn't do that today, but, you know, but I'm just saying. But anyway, so there was a small community that they were building. And they were a small community that they were building and in Ellingwood, a nice home. And we were like, oh, man, this looks nice or whatever. And they had like a few homes left or whatever. And so the lady, I remember her telling us, OK, now if you serious about this, you better you can reserve it, this lot or whatever. And then, you know, we can go from there. And we were like, OK, I don't think we were that close to reserving it. Right. That close. And so, you know, I used my AOL account or whatever internet I had back then, MindSpring, whatever it was I used back then, and got on the internet and I started looking up Ellingwood and looking up the, you know, history of it and all that kind of stuff. Come to find out, at least part of that town was built on top of a dump. It was built on top of a dump, and they were building homes on top of a dump. It was one that was nearby, and then I started looking at so needless to say, I was like, oh, well, you know, if that's the case, then, you know, the water's crap. But nobody else really, they weren't telling people that. I had to dig through stuff to find that out. At least part of that town, they, according to what I found at that time, was built either on or very close to a dump, what used to be a dump. And black folks are just going in on there. We have to take these environmental things extremely serious. We did a video a long time ago where we talked about, this is in South Carolina, and we actually looked at the rates, cancer rates in, it was a particular a county. I think it was Orangeburg. Can't remember now. But the person I was speaking to in this county, they have a lot of cotton mills, right? They pick cotton and, you know, the machines, they pick cotton down and they was filtering it out and stuff. And so anybody who has familiarity in living in areas like that, you know, if you grew up and you had those screen doors or whatever, it was nothing to wake up in the morning and you got like little bits of cotton, you know, on your screen. You know, some of y'all old folks who live in the country, you know what I'm talking about. Well, you know, you just chalk that up as, well, that's just something, that's just a part of living in the country. But those little fibers, if you breathe in too much of that, it could be very dangerous. And so the person I was speaking to, they were saying they was noticing there was an uptick of cancers. They said, you know, there was cancers in this area. And I said, well, let me start digging. So then I started, as I was digging, I was finding out that these these cotton fibers, the areas where you had a high rate of these cotton mills in this area, when you superimpose that with the cancer data, the cancer was highest in these areas. But it wasn't just any cancer. These are lung cancer was by and far the largest, the highest amount of type of cancer in these areas where these cotton mills were. But see, again, people don't put those things together. So my point is that this right now, what they're talking about in the Conyers area, see, all of that, what goes up, like they said, what goes up comes down, right? Well, that means it's getting on all the plants. That means it's getting into the water supply. All of that stuff it's all over the place. And because it's involving an area of majority black folks, they are not going to make a big deal about it. You saw all the press that went into play when that thing happened with East Palestine. You remember that? They had all kinds of channels and networks and stuff going over there for that. Remember that? Well, this is 6 times worse than that. And you don't hear anything about it. Nothing. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why. And some of the press, they're saying, well, it's really not that bad or whatever. No, it's, you dealing with that. The moment I heard it was chlorine, I already knew it was bad. But when they said it was 6 times as worse as what took place up there, then I got really concerned. So this is why we have to take initiative when it comes to our own stuff and stop waiting for their white man to come in to try to sound the alarm, because they're not going to do anything. The government ain't going to do anything. I don't care if the government is made up of black folks. The black folks that are within government, they have already proven, as I said in my last video, that as long as the check keeps coming in, they're not going to say a doggone thing to warn you. Do you understand what I'm saying? See, that's got to get into your head. The bureaucracy that you've been complaining about, black people, is ran a lot by people that look like you. They know the games and the tricks that the government is playing on you because they're the ones that are doing it to you. But you're waiting for someone to come in, and all of a sudden 20 people here, 30 people here, 60 people here get cancers, and you just sit up here like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And meanwhile, the religious people coming in, see, that's judgment. See, that's the judgment. That's the judgment coming in. And I'm telling you, it's just happening. You know, that kind of stuff. I'm trying to help you to start thinking ahead so that you don't get caught up in this stuff. This is happening now. So how do we handle this? How do we deal with this? Well, Dwayne, you know, we just got to pray. Well, you go ahead and pray. In the meantime, we need to sound the alarm and try to get people taking enough concern about this and demanding their local government and saying, listen, we want every week, we want to report every week. And we want an independent report every week. And if it ain't jiving up to what it needs to be, okay, then we need to talk about getting up out of here. We need to get all the way up out of here. We need daily reports on our water, our drinking water. Daily reports. Any produce that we grow in this area, it needs to be tested every day. Every day. You understand what I'm saying? Even like on the playground, you know, that stuff is on playground, on stuff, on your cars and all that stuff. This is real. You understand what I'm saying? But unfortunately, a lot of our people will wait till it's too late. Don't be one of those people. Okay? Don't be one of those people. All right? So what we're going to do now, this is going to be, I'm going to take another break here. And then when we come back, you know, like I said, we've had quite a interesting week. I still got somebody right now running their mouth. And so, you know, about a couple of the videos that we did this week. So now we're going to give those people an opportunity to call in and to have your say. Okay. And so that's what we're going to do. So let me kind of get set up for that. It ain't going to take me long at all, but I'll just put a little music on here while I'm getting set up for that. Okay. All right. So just give me a moment and we will be right back. All right, we're back. We are back. All right, so the phone number is now on the screen, and we're giving people an opportunity, you know, for especially those who, like I said, that had a lot to say, you know, about any of the topics that we talked about this week. You know, the Jamaican woman and her stance and what she was bringing out. If you still feel very strongly about, you know, that hurricanes are part of God's wrath against everybody, and you feel very strongly about that, we would like to hear from you. And like I said, I don't, you know, I'm not going to be very respectful. I just ask for you to be the same way, because if you can't carry on a basic conversation, an adult conversation, then this is not going to be the place for you. So we're going to give people an opportunity to call in, but make no mistake about it, I'm not going to be waiting all night like we've done in the past with people, because again, it's just amazes me that a lot of these people have something to say, but then when you give them the opportunity to show up, they don't. Most of the times they don't at all, because it's very easy and very comfortable in staying in hiding in the shadows, because that's when you're not in truth, that's what you do. You hide. You know, that's exactly what you do. And so it's easy to say these kind of things, make these ridiculous claims like this when you're hiding. But when you're invited into the light to have a conversation, you can't do that. So we're giving people an opportunity right this moment here. And again, this will serve as yet another object lesson, you know, of just showing you the differences here and what we're actually dealing with. And you can't build with blank voices, you know, empty voices. You can't build with people like that. That's one of the things I learned, like I said, just in that video I did earlier this week when we were talking about, you know, building a black community. You can't build with everybody. You can't. And some people, they just like talking from a distance. And that's it. You know, I'm very curious to find out all of these religious people that had a lot to say. I'm very interested and curious, what are some of the things that you have been doing to help some of these innocent people who have been adversely affected by these storms? What are some of the things that your group has been doing? And I say that especially to the Hebrews tonight that may be watching, that where you have been on social media, amening and liking and amplifying these messages that God is just wiping out these poor people, you know, and all of that. I want to know what you're doing for those who are victims, but they had nothing to do with they're not tied to any of that history that you're talking about. What specifically are you doing to help those people? That's what I want to know. Because as far as I'm concerned, we've seen enough of a bunch of men marching in purple in communities, but you need to stop marching through the communities and be the community and start helping people. And like I said, every time when I do this, open up the phone line, nobody really calls. I mean, all these people have been doing this, it stops. Literally, it never ever fails. Never fails. So I'm, like I said, again, I got things I got to do. And I know a lot of these people here tonight, and I appreciate each and every one of y'all being here live this evening. Like I said earlier, once this broadcast is over, you got to give it time to kind of, you know, upload and all of that. You will, I'll chapter it out. So when you come back and you want to watch a certain part, I'll make it easy for you to find that part. Okay. The WNBA stuff, we'll talk about that another time. All right. I'm looking at my time. It's been a while since I've done an over 2 hour long video, but I appreciate y'all hanging in there with me. I told y'all we were going to be delving in a lot here. Well, like I said, the phone line is open. And if you're having problems dialing in and, hey, listen, I'm trying to call in, but it's not. Now, if you've already called this line before, don't call tonight, okay? I love y'all, but don't call tonight. This is right now. We're for first-time callers and for people who feel very adamant. Their God is so angry that he just going to bullets just flying everywhere and just hitting anybody. And if you're just coming on, my encouragement to you is to watch the first part of this broadcast, because I really laid out another layer to the argument that I was making there that you should take in consideration before you launch out and say that kind of foolishness out here. Okay, so I hope you take the time to do that. Like I said, the numbers on the screen, I'm too grown to be begging adults, okay? And like I said, yet again, this proves the point, that a lot of that you see in the chat or in the comment section, are usually nothing but ghosts. That's it. They don't do anything. They are of no worth to mankind. They have no worth to themselves. And they just do what they do. You know what I mean? And so you just don't assume anything when you're talking to people like this. I can't tell you how many people I've start getting in a conversation with, and I'm like, okay, there's something really off here. It's not the AI. And a lot of times we blame it on AI, and it's like the AI, like, don't be blaming it on me. Chat GPT be like, that ain't me now. Now we may get some goofy answers sometime, but that ain't us. Don't be blaming us. But seriously. But these are things that we really need to, take serious when it comes to drawing the line. When we're trying to move forward, there are going to be people that we're going to have to cut and leave behind, period. You're going to have to leave them alone. I'm not going to die on the hill trying to defend people that want to be ratchet. I'm not going to do that. You want to be ratchet, I'll be the main one. I'll call the police for you. Doesn't mean I hate black people. No, it means I love my people. You know what I mean? I want to help others develop, like the gentleman that was saying earlier, the clip that I played for you earlier. I want to help put things together so that when these tragedies do happen, it's not even a second thought. We already know where to divert resources and stuff to as a people. I want to be a part of that. But when you're religious, you don't want to do that. You're just looking for the escape route. They got this whole thing now where people trying to move. They'll talk. For years, they've been saying all this bad stuff about Africans. Now, all of a sudden, the new trend is we need to escape to Africa because that's the promised land. Oh, I tell you, y'all. Sometimes you just got to let crazy just be crazy and stay away from it. It's something else, man. Anyway, I'm going to give y'all another minute to call in. Let me put some music on while I'm waiting. Hold on. Hold on. No. I'll play that one now. I got some more music, but I'll just put that on low. Because other than that, if nobody else trying to show up, make sure you take note of this song. Okay? Make sure you take note of this right here. All right? And this is what happens, because see, when you invest too much time, when you get people like that, all your time like that, and you going back and forth, they're like energy vampires. They're just trying to take from you and all that. And I have people say some very, very disrespectful things to us. And I'm like, y'all did you listen to what was said in here? That's not what I'm saying. I wasn't even saying that at all. Can't help you. Anyway, I think that's it. I'm shutting it down because, like I said again, I got other things I need to be doing, and I'm not going. Y'all ain't gonna waste my time on that one. And I say y'all, I'm talking about the mother folks, not you. But that's it, y'all. I think that's it. We're just gonna wrap it up right here, and that's it. Now, if you want to follow up and try to continue your little whatever in our comment section, you're gonna be blocked. It's just simple as that. It's just as very simple as that. You're gonna be blocked because you're not gonna waste our time anymore. Okay, but we're gonna continue to move forward. We're gonna keep on standing on truth. And, you know, and really doing everything we possibly can to help as many people as possible to get through these little curves and stuff of this very, very wicked system. And we need each other, you know. And when I say we, I'm talking like-minded people. OK, it ain't just all black folks, you know, because, again, not all black folks have your best interests at heart. Okay, if you can walk away with that, knowing that, I'm telling you right now, you're going to be all good. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. Listen, you take care, and I will see you again soon. Next video will probably go up on Sunday. I think the topic of that is going to be on worship. Yes, it's going to have something to do with worship. All right. Anyway, listen, you guys take care, and I'll see you again soon. Take care now.